What if I told you the Utah legislature just passed laws that could completely change how easy it is to buy a home here? Just to give you a sneak peek, we're talking about backyard homes becoming legal in many cities, millions of dollars being used to build new housing infrastructure, and even extra money for first-time homebuyers trying to get into the market. If you're a homeowner, buyer, investor, or someone thinking about moving to Utah, these new laws could impact housing prices, availability, and opportunities over the next few years. Today, I'm going to break down what the Utah legislature just passed, what it means for the housing market, and how it could affect you personally. And stick around to the end because I'm going to explain how you could potentially create rental income in your own backyard. Let's get into it. So why is Utah focused on housing? Utah has been facing a housing shortage for years. The population growth here has been incredibly strong, with people moving here from places like California, Washington, Colorado, and Oregon. And with that, the construction has not kept up with the demand. Right now, the median house price in Utah is $508,000, with Salt Lake County being closer to $550,000. That includes all housing types, including single-family homes, townhomes, and condos, which is just crazy, because I remember even when I started my career, I was selling homes, that were $150,000, $200,000. That was going to be your basic starter home. Where now, to get into your basic starter home, you're looking at closer to $500,000. So those numbers alone show you why affordability has become such a big topic at the state level. And lawmakers spent a big portion of this year's legislative session trying to figure things out. They're trying to find solutions to increase the housing supply, help out first-time homebuyers, encourage more new construction, and give cities more tools to build housing. And a few of these key bills actually made it through. Now, the biggest bill in my opinion and many others is going to be in regards to backyard homes. It's called SB 284, and it was sponsored by Senator Lincoln Fillmore. This bill focuses on something called Accessory Dwelling Units, or better known as ADUs. And if you've never heard of an ADU before, that's basically a secondary housing unit on the same property as the main home. So an example of that could be like a small backyard cottage, a garage that's been converted into an apartment, a small detached home that's behind the primary house, even a finished basement apartment with a separate entrance can be considered an accessory dwelling unit. And under the new law, cities with at least 5,000 residents must allow detached ADUs. So in other words, more homeowners may soon be able to build a small second home on their property. Cities that don't have policies regarding this have to create one by October. So this is a really big deal because until now, a lot of cities have allowed this, but a lot of them haven't. So the goal is to make housing policy more consistent throughout the state, especially in some of the larger Utah communities. Supporters of the bill feel like it will help in a lot of ways. First off, it creates more housing supply without building more huge apartment complexes. Second, it allows homeowners to generate additional income. And third, it helps people to age in place rather than being forced to move as they get older. For example, parents could move into the backyard house while the kids continue to live in the main home. Or homeowners could rent the ADU in order to help supplement their mortgage, which would make purchasing homes a lot more affordable. So tell me in the comments below what you think about adding accessory dwelling units to homes would mean for the state, and if you think it's a good idea. I think it does come with some negatives. I mean, you always have parking. You have the upkeep and condition of these homes and accessory dwelling units. Homeowners could potentially run into problems like not getting rent paid, having to deal with a tenant that could be unruly, potentially having to file evictions and deal with that whole process. So there's a lot to it, but I think it's a good step in the right direction. Another major bill that passed in this session is HB 492. Now this one seems a little less exciting at first, but it could have a huge impact on housing supply. One of the biggest obstacles in building new communities isn't always necessarily land or demand. It's the infrastructure. Things like water systems, road systems, sewers, utilities. There's a lot of housing developments that are approved in Utah but can't really move forward at the pace that they would like to because they don't have the infrastructure in place. So HB 492 unlocks state funding to allow that infrastructure to be built. And once that infrastructure is in place, those planned communities can finally move forward at the pace that they need to. And what that means is that more homes will be built, there'll be more starter homes available, and there'll be a lot more options for buyers. According to housing advocates and city leaders, this is going to have a huge impact on the supply of homes in Utah. Another thing that they were able to accomplish in this session is that they were able to set aside more funds to help out first-time homebuyers. They were able to set aside an additional $10 million for Utah's first-time homebuyer assistance program. This program allows for up to $20,000 that can be used for things things like the down payment, closing costs, or even buying down the interest rate. For many buyers, the down payment is the biggest obstacle to owning their first home. And while there are low and no down payment options available to first-time home buyers, programs like this can sometimes be the difference between continuing to rent or being able to buy your first home. And where we've seen the home prices come up so significantly, this is going to be a big step in helping with affordability and getting more people into home ownership. I know I've had a lot of buyers that have taken advantage of these first-time home buyer programs. When I was selling new construction townhomes, it was almost exclusively first-time home buyers, and so many of them were able to get that $20,000 that they could use towards their down payment, closing costs, or doing a rate buy down, which made the home so much more affordable, made the payments so much lower per month. So it was a big help and helped a lot of people get into homes that they otherwise couldn't have gotten into. Not every housing proposal made it through the legislature. One bill that didn't pass aimed to allow cities to build smaller homes than current zoning regulations typically allow. The idea behind this bill was simple. Smaller homes usually mean lower prices and more affordability, but it didn't make it through this session. There were a few other proposals that dealt with tenant and landlord relationships, but those didn't make it through either. And even though those didn't pass, housing advocates say that they expect the conversation to continue into the future. So we may see them again on the next time around. So what happens next? What happens next is going to be up to the governor, Spencer Cox. He is going to review the bills and decide whether he is going to sign them into law or veto them. Most of these proposals receive bipartisan support, so many experts expect that they will move forward. And once they do, cities across Utah will begin implementing these new policies. And over time, we're going to see these changes begin to influence housing supply, affordability, and development across the state. So what does all this mean for you? If you're a homeowner, you may soon have the opportunity to build an accessory dwelling unit on your property and create rental income. Doing so could potentially increase your home's value and make your current home more affordable. Of course, that's not going to come without an expense. You have to build the ADU, you're going to have to get permits, you're going to have to go through the whole process. But at the end of the day, if it's something that you want to do, you'll have that option. If you're a buyer, these new laws could help increase housing supply and affordability. And if you're thinking of moving to Utah, these changes could shape Utah housing over the next several years. If you want to stay up to date on Utah housing, new communities, and the best places to live in the state, make sure you subscribe to the channel. You can reach out to me anytime. My contact information is going to be in the description below. And if you want to see all Utah homes that are available right now, you can head over to my website at homefinderutah.com. My website is directly linked to the Utah MLS, so every home for sale in Utah can be easily found on the site. And if you'd like to get more information on housing in Utah, be sure to click on this video right here to keep on learning. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.